So I was just reflecting a little bit about the direction I'm going in, the things I'm working on. And today was a pretty slow day. I got up really late, like around midday, because I've been absolutely like swarmed with work, literally working nonstop on development stuff. And I mean, I'm very excited about the work, but like I can't be, like I'm nowhere near the goal that I want. Like I have this milestone in April that I'm aiming for, and I'm nowhere near that. Or like I'm much nearer than last month. We'll put it that way. But I've still got a hell of a ways to go. And I'm looking at things, and I'm like, if I'm buckling with this workload, like I have to figure something out. And that has had me reflecting. Also today, I wanted to set aside time to reflect. My brain is a little bit, resistant to getting back on work as is kind of natural. But I found myself on YouTube watching some stuff, and there's so many of these people who are just starting agencies and whatever, and but I think like a lot of them are just copycats. They're literally just they're copy paste of each other, and they all do the same video, they all do the same thing, and I really don't want to kind of fall into that. And as much as possible, I want to try and retain I don't want to be somebody else. And I think that's yeah. And so I've just been thinking about that. Like, what are the kinds of things that I want to be working on and building, and I don't just want I'm building this agency as a means to an end. It's a vehicle for my learning. The objective of this agency is not to make the most money in the world. It's to first and foremost a vehicle to learn, because I get to work with a bunch of clients and practice running a development team, and I get to practice building in itself. And that's something which I think, if you I want to have to scale an operations team specifically, because I think that comes with its own set of challenges and things like that, and that has valuable lessons embedded. And also an agency means you can work with lots of clients, whatever, but it's I also don't want to box myself into the agency space, because I don't think it's necessarily what I want to stay in long term. But anyway, it just has me thinking a lot about how do I scale things? What am I doing? One of the things which I think I've realized is I should definitely go out of my way to do trips with people, spend more time with other founders who I respect, who I find interesting, who I think are smart people, smart individuals. And I think I'll go find more like minds in the bigger cities in the world, and I have to make time for that and money for that. And I got myself into a sticky situation last year, my first year of business. 2022. I basically almost ran things into the ground because I spent too much money, and I didn't know what I was doing properly. And as much as I've learned a lot of lessons, but I think I have to find a place where I can find other like minds and things like that. And I don't really want to join a Discord server full of people selling courses via Instagram DM spams. That's not really what I want to do. So that's been a real challenge for me, is how do I do that and spend time among that community. Now that I think about it, I just made this investment into this community. Maybe I should go spend time in person. Maybe that's something to think about. This has me considering a lot of things, Impossible to Inevitable. I think it's a really great book, and I don't want to lose the things that I was thinking about there. But the first chapter is you gotta nail a niche and just focus on one problem. And so I want to double down on one problem, and I have been doing that. That's been absolutely amazing. But now, if I want to scale to the point, one of the questions is, how do I guarantee I can get the clients, right, by April, and that's going to be especially through referral and through community building because you need trust. But then the other half is how am I going to scale fulfillment? Because development is not some, it's not some linear thing where I can just turn on a couple more ads and things, magically work for all of my clients, or I just send them a Notion template and happy days and they pay me. Like, it's development requires a lot more infrastructure and like, for example, talent is harder to find. And so, arguably it's easier to scale in terms of you don't have to make that many sales, right? Because it's a higher ticket product. But I mean, yeah, you need the talent to support the clients, and that's the problem. Which obviously, I'm like right now, I'm working a lot because of exactly that. And I think one of the things, see, this is a part where I wish I had other people to debate this with, and so I'm just going to share candidly, like. I'm debating, there's this client that pays me really little, and the work that they get out of me is, near the, it's comparable to the other clients, and the other clients are paying 5 figures or close to. And part of me wants to let that deal go because, I mean, it's not worth it, right? Like, it's not worth the time and opportunity cost, whatever. On the other hand, I have the goal. I mean, yeah, maybe I do need to just go ahead and say no to that deal. Maybe that's probably a mistake, and I should have said no earlier, frankly. But then again, that money did help at the time. Like, you don't always have the luxury of choice. And also, like, I want to go spend time with people in person. That's a big priority. But moving around the world is no. I mean, I think I could figure it out. To be fair. I don't know. A lot of considerations I'm having, and I'm just like, okay, I want to go spend more time with people in person, whatever. But this means more logistical nightmares. Also, for just my other goals in my life, like I have other things. So, for example, one of the things that I want to, obviously, like I think the gym is a big part of my life, and my diet is something that I've been. It's like struggling with for a long time because I don't hit the goals that I have, and it's like I have to go out of my way for that kind of stuff, and traveling adds a whole bunch of stress into that part of like I have to then sort out a bunch of logistical stuff on my own. So all of this, I don't know, I have a lot to think about, and I wanted today to think about it, but it's already almost 11, like 20 minutes to, and I mean, I'll still do it. Maybe I'll stay up till like 12, 1. Hopefully I sleep by 1 because I need to get my sleep schedule kind of fixed up before next week, because next week I know will be another week of a lot of stuff to do. But yeah, and then I got to work on the things that will get me in a position where April's more likely to happen. April milestones are more likely to happen. How do I guarantee that? I think a big part of it is just making more content, documenting more of what I do for my clients, because I don't do that enough right now, and it's such a mistake. It is such an awful mistake, and I definitely should do that. So that might be part of it, documenting stuff. I could maybe the website could use a refresh, but no, like I was making a list of like how do I guarantee that I don't hit the goal, right? It's Charlie Munger's like inverse thinking method or whatever. But how would I make sure I don't hit my goal in April? Don't do the best job for clients. Don't tell people I'm looking for more work. Don't interact with new communities. Don't what was I going to say? Don't document my case studies. Don't publicize them. And I think I should probably start there. And the other thing is cross-selling, upselling, reselling. I mean, I'm reselling, right? Like my retainers are relatively long-term, but I think upselling is a part where I could get so much more value if I figure out how to upsell properly. And this is the part where having an ideal client, like I need to double down. Okay, what is my ideal client? What is the problems that they're experiencing before and after? I've seen one problem, and like I mean, I've basically been hired as one well, the tech lead function effectively is not directly what we solve, but it is a cross sell, or actually not sell, but I have to figure out what other options there are that I could fulfill without huge additional operational overhead and costs. That is one of the challenges of a development agency, is overhead will be much bigger. I wonder, like I have to look into other development agencies. I have to look at my current clients, see what problems they have, and like, yeah, figure that one out. And there's just so many opportunities, and I think that's really where you double down. And basically, the key to having a huge business is having a gigantic LTV, and an LTV comes from being good at what you do, and I guess cross-selling, upselling, reselling. Like just doing those two things will bring you the LTV that you want. The LTV can fund your marketing costs, and so that's how the biggest companies in the world are built. The biggest companies don't have the best marketing; they have insane LTV, which lets them spend insane amounts on marketing. That's really the difference. I heard this from somewhere. I'm not just drawing a conclusion out of my ass, like with 2 years in business. This is from people who've been in business for way longer. But that's really where the magic happens, if you will, right? It's in having a really big LTV. And that was the switch that I made, 9 months ago or whatever, when I started just doubling down on clients and doing the best by them. And that was a great choice. But I realized I got the part of like doing a great job, but now it's a part of I need to solve more adjacent problems. And I have not properly identified adjacent problems at the time, for the time being. So I have to go think about that. And I want to think about systems that I can, like, whenever I'm traveling, I tend to fail miserably at my diet goals, exercise goals. Sometimes I hit them. Exercise is a little bit different because I'm more proactive and I enjoy it more. But like, there's other things that I want to do. So I might take up Italian lessons. Just pay a coach and do them like 3-4 times a week. Like I pick up languages relatively quickly, and like I want to pick up more skills and things like that. And investing time in other skills is good from a scientific, like neuroscience perspective, and from a just general life one. It's my belief that I think you should accumulate more skills. I think there's this niche in the internet culture of just that's just so blindly focused on money, which I think they've lost perspective of like, just because you're rich doesn't mean everything in life. And I want to spend time on those other things, but you need to create systems around those things, because you can only focus your willpower on one particular thing. And so I wanted to reflect about how do I make systems such that I can go and travel somewhere for 3 weeks and I'm not going to eat like shit, because I'm always, I'm always like at 4 p.m. I was being like, oh, I haven't had lunch today. What am I going to do? And I just like grab the next random thing that I find. And that turns out to be more expensive and more inefficient. So it's a lose-lose. And I want to build more systems around that stuff. So those are the reflections that I wanted to have for the weekend. But we'll see if I have time. I still have a little bit of client work to do, but I'm seeing that I cannot get too bogged down in the client work, because that will also trip me up, right? Like that will become a bottleneck, and I can't let that be the case. So, yeah, that's the plan for tonight. And hopefully, now that I talk about it, I don't know how I'm going to get that all done in like, an hour or two, but no, I think I can do it. I just have to limit my reflection and strategy time. But yeah, maybe I'll record something at the end of the day. Maybe I won't. I don't know. I wanted to record earlier today, but I got up, did work, sent a wrap up, and then went to the gym, and that was pretty much my day. It wasn't very exciting. But I have to spend more time thinking about that. I also just have to spend more time planning, like, how am I gonna spend more time with interested people? Yeah, and I don't want to do online things. like maybe online's a good place to meet them, but like I want to figure out in-person arrangements. And yeah, and I was thinking about, oh, I want to go to London, blah blah blah. I was considering, that I want to rent a place by myself and things like that. But now I'm seeing I should actually really what I should do is I should find a group of other founders or interesting people to share a place with. Or, and that doesn't have to be London, it can be wherever, but I have to find that like I have to grow those relationships. And then yeah, but I need to double down on like where I'm spending my time physically and put that in somewhere where like it's with more people that are interesting and yeah. So I was gonna record today another video, but I'm so out of it. I'm like my brain's exhausted. This week has been the hardest I've worked in a very, very long time, maybe ever. Like it was just literally being to like I don't think I've slept before 4 a.m. this week or like 3:30. So that's not sustainable, and that's not like it's a good sign because it's all for good reason, and I'm very excited about things. But at the same time, it's like I have some I want some. Well, I try with caution basically because I don't want to block myself into only just fulfilling for clients and being a glorified freelancer. That's not the point. But like you may have a season of just a lot of working for all that stuff, and that's okay. But yeah, it's probably today's update.